Hey, bro. Last week it was my birthday. You sent me a very, very nice message at the start of last week's podcast. I just wanted to return the favor. I mean, it is your birthday this week. It's kind of a fun fact about our family that the three siblings are all born within the same week, which is I always thought was really cool and whatnot. So happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
You did mention that you got me a present, but I don't really remember getting you one. But don't worry about it. You know, I I went ahead and I got a gift for you as well. So let me go grab it. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Uh, he's got to leave? No.
Hey, bro.
Oh,
Yeah, just you have the Dean Ambrose one up there, and when I went to Brandon,
phew.
I got this Becky Lynch one. I thought you could add to the collection. So I'll
That's
make
so
sure to
cool.
kick
Thanks,
this
man.
one over to you as soon as possible. Cue the intro.
The following presentation has been brought to you by HSF Productions.
With your hosts, Jeff and Hey guys, welcome back to IWP, the Impromptu Wrestling Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Tally006. Over to my left, as always, is my brother Damien. How are you doing this week?
Hey, today's my birthday. So, yeah, the week's been pretty good. Had some time back home. Saw you.
Yeah,
Yeah, been a good week, birthday week.
that's awesome. Well, happy birthday again.
Thanks.
We got a pretty big show to get through. Another gigantic dark, another snooze fest of a BTE, but a really really good Dynamite. So without postponing it any further, why don't we get right into it? Let's get right into being the elite. Episode 208, Take It Home. What were your overall thoughts on this?
Um, I don't know. We're not really seeing anything different. It's a lot of repetition. Yeah, I can't even really think of a really good part. Like the best friends, kind of still the best part about it, even though they're really not doing much. But
Even that bit's getting stale now.
yeah,
Like they need to progress somehow.
yeah,
It's time for the payoff, if you will.
yeah, exactly. It's,
there-
it's, it's time to take it home.
Yeah, there was some funny jokes though, like just funny moments, not so much funny bits. I enjoyed the cold open and the whole, Matt Jackson blading to get to the front of the bathroom line, and continuing that. Someone comments, I'm not even sure who it was, mentions like who are you? Are you a Rhodes now or something? Like I thought that was super clever.
That's Nick. Yeah, that was Nick.
So he makes his way into the bathroom and he's like, "Come on, Nakazawa's taking a shit on the toilet, and he's like, "Come on, get out! I'm bleeding. Can't you see I'm bleeding here?" And he pulls out some bloody toilet paper, and I'm bleeding too. It's just like, holy shit! I can't believe they went there.
Yeah, I think and because it's Nakazawa, I think that gets over.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Because
anybody
he
else,
is
it's
weird,
just like,
right?
yeah, for sure. But then we had to hear about Christopher Daniels' colonoscopy again. I thought it was clever how they kind of brought it back for an episode and kind of made fun of it in a way.
Yeah, because I think, again, the guys watched the show, and I kind of buried this bit. It was just like, man, this went forever. And then that was the joke this week, is how his story just kept going and going and going, and everybody's just like, and then,
Yeah. I mean, it's good. It brought up awareness, and with my birthday, I went and made an appointment. So
right, you're getting there.
Get mine done. Yeah.
I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah, don't think about it.
Yeah. We got another Speak in Spanglish segment, which I'm still missing the mark with me, but hopefully playing a little bit better in the Spanish market. Spanish fans maybe are enjoying that a little bit more. I mean, we kind of speak French up here in Canada, right? So the Spanish jokes are maybe not hitting on us. Do you think maybe that's all it is?
Yeah, I think that's probably what it is we just don't relate to it. But if the Spanish fans are getting over on this, then good for BTE and good for Proud and Powerful.
Yeah, at least they're getting on the show and they got something.
Yeah.
Because they are funny guys. I mean, we've seen it in Inner Circle, so we know these guys can handle this, or at least participate and make a contribution to being the elite. But yeah, like I said, it's just not really hitting it for me personally. So, but hopefully they are getting some feedback. Speaking of things that may not be getting the right feedback, was the kind of the ending segment of BTE. We had this bit where Hangman runs into Private Party, and he's opening up his wallet. He's counting out the $12. It looks like he's about to, swallow his pride, and he wants to bury the hatchet with Private Party, pay them the $12 that he took in drinks from them. And there was a real left turn here in this bit. What did you think of how they played this out?
I mean, I thought it's interesting. Has anybody ever been sort of canceled, so to speak, from BTE? I mean, and that's kind of the idea I got here.
Yeah, besides Adam Cole, may he rest in peace. I think that's really the only other time they kind of like canceled somebody. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I like the way it played out. To me, I think Private Party and how well their bits did. I mean, when we didn't get a Private Party bit last week, you're like, man, I was like really hoping for a Private Party. Like, they did really well. I think they're gonna go do their own thing. I think they're gonna start their own YouTube channel. Maybe it's a spin-off. Maybe it'll still be on Being the Elite YouTube channel, but they'll have their own playlist and they'll do their own thing and whatnot, and maybe we'll get some crossovers here and there. But I think that's where it's going, because the Private Party stuff did do really well. So
yeah, that's a good idea. My first thought was how many people are going to be offended by this, with all the stuff going on in the world.
Right. That it could have been taken very wrong. Yes.
Yeah. But I thought it was neat how they did this in black and white, and then when
they canceled it
after the rage happened,
yeah,
it flipped back. So very creative.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was kind of the high point of the episode for me. Yeah, it was good. It was a fine episode, like I said. I mean, it was kind of a snore fest like last week, but it had its moments. Let's move on to AEW Dark.
Was this not the biggest Dark show we've ever had? Like, I think I had to add about 4 rows to the table of information we have in our document here.
12? Yeah, I think the biggest so far was 9 or 10.
Up to this point, yeah.
So, yeah, big episode of Dark.
All right, so in the first match here, we had Jurassic Express defeating Capital Vices and John Cruz. And I'm thinking this is the first time that we've seen Capital Vices.
Yeah, that
Or at
was
least
their
first time I
debut.
can remember. Sin and Money. What'd you think about these guys? Capital Vices.
They looked like those career jobbers. They independent staples. They just do the grind. They weren't impressive by any means, but they really committed to their gimmick.
Or gimmicks, as
Gimmicks.
Taz pointed out.
Yeah, they did have many gimmicks. Not only the sin and the money, capital vices. I kind of like how that all goes together. Not the most creative wrestling names out there, but almost a retro kind of nostalgic throwback to early 90s gimmick wrestlers and stuff like that. So that was kind of neat. But they came out in Freddy Krueger gear. Like they had the hats, they had the red green sweater, they had the claws coming off, the Legion of Doom shoulder pads and stuff like that. Like it was
The one guy had that mustache.
Yeah, like
I think it was Money.
Yeah, so I mean, clever, but yeah, maybe a little too much. But they worked
You
really
think we'll
well.
see these guys again?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I said, these are career jobbers. They worked really well, especially with Jurassic Express, even with Marco Stunt being as small as they did and how big those two guys were. It all worked really well. So I definitely think we'll see these guys back for, maybe another triple, like a 6-man tag against SCU, or maybe just standard tag matches against Butcher and Blade, or even FTR. Who knows? So yeah, definitely see these guys again. But yeah, tone down on the gimmicks a little bit.
Yeah.
Good for Taz for putting them over though.
Yeah, I mean, he played them up. I wasn't feeling them, but he was, calling them badass dudes and all of that.
Yeah, he gassed them up quite a bit.
Yeah. In the next match, we had SCU going over Peter Avalon and Brandon Cutler, as any person betting in Vegas would choose SCU over these guys. Did you see this one? What did you think of this match?
I enjoyed this match. I enjoyed the entrance the most. It seems like now that's their gimmick, is that they do this little skit at the top of the ramp before, because Brandon always has his polyhedral die and he goes to roll it. And, Peter Avalon punted it the one day, and this time he wanted to roll it, but then he was going to toss it. And, Taz put that over. Taz makes a comment, I think it's during this match, and how everybody buries him in the comment section on YouTube for always putting himself over. But, I mean, he's putting other guys over just in a very heel way. And I don't think a lot of people on the YouTube comment section realize that. Like, Taz is killing it in commentary.
Yeah. He's doing his job.
He is doing his job.
Yeah.
Especially, like, when going back to Capital Vices, like he doesn't need to do that for these guys that, we may or may not see again. But he does, and he does it well. But as for this match, 4 really great workers. The story they told, the story they're continuing to tell with Cutler and Avalon, it's just all working for me. I'm really enjoying this storyline, like I've always said, week to week. And one of the few storylines that I want to go longer. I'm not ready for the payoff on this yet. And we all know my stance on what I think the payoff will be. But, keep it going. Enjoy.
Yeah. We're up to, 12 bonus points for that?
Yeah, no doubt.
The next match, we had Big Swole going over Danny Jordan. In the next match, we had Lance Archer going over David Ali. Had we seen this David Ali before?
Yeah, once before.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago.
Then we had Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss, who we said either last week or the week before that these guys should be a tag team, a permanent kind of tag team.
And I believe I said in one of those weeks that I'm like, if these guys aren't called the Jersey Boys, I'll be really upset. But that might be trademarked by the Broadway show or something like that. If they didn't call them the Jersey Boys all through this match, I was like, yes. Bonus points, baby.
Yeah. So they went over Musa and Sean Dean. Those two kind of they're a team now. Hey,
Yeah,
Musa and Sean Dean.
It seems like that. Yeah.
Then one match that I really focused on. I'll have to admit I didn't watch all of Dark, but this is one of the matches I watched. We had Allie and Brandy. You'd never think these two would team up after what's been going on the last couple of weeks. And they go over on Red Velvet and Kenzie Page. Now, Kenzie Page we had seen before. I don't think we've seen Red Velvet.
No, this is definitely her debut.
I like what I see in Red Velvet.
Yeah, she was really, really good.
She can wrestle too. Yeah.
Very, very strong for a slender. Is that a word? You know, a little bit slender of a woman. But she had a lot of power. She took the bumps well. I enjoyed this match. It was Allie's return from a long break. Like this, we're not even talking quarantine. We're talking pre the bunny of her actually being in the ring and taking bumps. I enjoyed kind of the story that this match was laid out to tell. It's more of the tension in the Nightmare family and how Allie is, you know, kind of forcing her way into the Nightmare family for whatever her motivation is behind it. But I thought it was well, and Allie really played that character really well. The character she's been playing, you know, she's always like she plays hurt for a little while, and then Brandy does all the work, and then she comes in and gets the step on, you know, pin, and she's been doing that in a valet sense in all of QT Marshall's matches. You know, she comes down there to try to get involved, and then she'll like fall off the ropes and like pretend her ankle's hurt or something like that. So yeah, she's playing it well. I enjoyed this match.
Yeah. And then we had Brandy shoving Allie at the end.
Yeah.
So the face kind of, you know, being the nasty person. Do you see a Fyter Fest match or a match between them coming soon?
Well, I believe I mentioned that when this all goes down and Allie eventually breaks QT's heart and, you know, leaves him in the gutter, that it's going to be Brandy who comes and seeks retribution for QT. So, yeah, I don't know about Fyter Fest, but, you know, definitely there's going to be a Brandy versus Allie payoff match.
Cool. The next match we had Sean Spears returning to action. He goes over on Lee Johnson. In the next match we had Dark Order defeating Brady Pierce and John Schuyler. In the next match we had Jimmy Havoc versus Griff Garrison, and Jimmy Havoc wins that one. Just stop me if you have something to say about these matches.
Nope.
Then we had Penelope Ford defeating Skylar Moore. I don't remember seeing Skylar Moore, but they had mentioned that she was a returning one.
Mm-hmm.
Good to see that we're getting a lot of women wrestlers in here and getting some different ones. I felt like some of these, I don't know who, Kenzie Page. They I don't know, either they're not experienced enough. They don't look like wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't have that look yet. And I'm surprised that maybe the talent isn't trying to help them out with that a little bit, you know, like they really, really, really look like jobbers.
Yeah.
I don't know, just something I noticed. And then the last match, the main event, we had Scorpio Sky defeating Robert Anthony. So just an absolute huge show here. I mean, great for content. We are essentially getting a SmackDown every week now, right? No commercials. And I don't know if you noticed on YouTube, you probably watch it live because I watched it after. In the comment section, you can they actually have links now so you can skip to the match. So that's what I love about it. I don't know if they've done that before. I just noticed this week.
I think this is a new feature that YouTube has, and I'm going to look into implementing that for our show to see what it takes. But actually, if you notice on the progress bar, it's all broken up.
Right,
and then,
right.
And then
I did notice that.
And then each segment has a title, so you can just hover over it. It tells you exactly what that segment is, and then you can skip right to it if you want to. So I think that would be a really cool quality of life. Kind of I don't even can't even think of what the word I want to use here is, but for our viewers to if they want to see what we had to say about Dark, they can skip right to Dark. If there's a specific match on Dynamite that they really wanted to check out our opinions on, then they could skip right to that. So I'm gonna look into trying to implement that. If that's something that you guys want to see as viewers, leave it in the comments below, and I'll do my best to make that happen. But we might need more subscribers before I have abilities to do that. So make sure to share it.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so yeah, huge episode of Dark. It was good. A little long. I feel like they could be stockpiling some of these matches, for future, do we need to have 10, 11, 12 matches on a Dark? I think we talked about this before, but I mean, yeah, it's great for content. I'm curious if they want Dark to be that second brand almost. Like SmackDown.
Yeah, or I think we had talked before that it was kind of Tony Khan's idea to keep wrestlers employed.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe this is just giving people some work, and I don't know if they're paid by, what actually gets published.
Right.
But yeah, it might just be as simple as that,
Yeah, for sure.
Tony sounds like he's a good guy, so.
For sure. Well, if that is the case, keep up the good work, Tony, because, yeah, there are a lot of struggling independent wrestlers out there, and at least this is an option for them.
Right.
Okay, so let's move into a quick little Breaking Kayfabe section. We had 2 new signees, official All Elite signees this week coming out of Dynamite, and we will talk about these 2 wrestlers a little bit further as their segments on Dynamite come forth. But first off is the absolute Ricky Starks. Terrible nickname, but this guy, I don't know what it is, but again, we'll talk about it a little bit further. I wasn't keen on him. I think it's someone that I'm gonna have to watch a little bit more before I make a real solid opinion on him. But yeah, he signed. He is All Elite. What'd you think of this signing?
I thought it was quick. But he made it sound like he was the hottest free agent. So maybe that is. I've never heard of him. He's an Impact guy.
NWA.
Okay.
Billy Corgan.
Right.
Billy Corgan's.
So had you heard of him before?
No, and actually, I had to text my buddy Corey, because he's kind of like into the real underground kind of stuff, and I'm like, have you heard of this guy before? He's like, no, never. So, I mean, he mentions he was an NWA TV champion. I'm sure that means something to somebody, but you have yet to prove yourself to us anyways. But we'll give him a shot for sure. I just wanted to mention how, you kind of made the comment that it was a little quick. And I agree with that in the sense that this was the first time a non-contract signed AEW wrestler, You know what I mean? Like, this guy didn't work for AEW, and he was challenging for the TNT Championship. And that was a big deal that Cody said that, you know, this is an open challenge. It's open to anybody from any company at any time kind of thing. And then so they bring this guy in and like, yeah, this is the first time it's happening. And then they sign him right away. And they announce the signing right away. I think it took away from the illusion. I talked about this shortly the week before and how the whole thing about an open challenge is that illusion that you don't know who it's going to be, which I admit they did. You know, they did a better job this week. We didn't know who it was going to be. But then they kind of go back on and ruin the whole illusion by announcing that this guy signed right away. If they would have left it for a week and then he makes like a comeback in 2 weeks on Dynamite and you know, and wrestles a Brandon Cutler on Dark or something like that, then it means more. But that's just me.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I never thought about it, but yeah, it is I thought it was a bit quick. Like, I don't think anybody up to this point was like that.
The show wasn't even over yet. The show was not over yet. Somebody added, like, at Tony Khan, said, you need to sign this kid right now. And Tony Khan, like, in gorilla position, I'm assuming, was on his phone. It was just like, we're putting pen to paper right now. Like, that's just not the way to do it. I don't know. I think they could have held off.
I mean, it may save a bit of a bury, but we'll talk about that when we talk about the match.
For sure. Going into a signing that I was surprised wasn't, you know, something that happened back in the fall when we first saw this wrestler. But Abadon is All Elite officially. I thought this girl was signed the first time we saw her on Dynamite, and I had nightmares for a week. But she finally came back as soon as, you know, the music hit and I realized it was her. And again, we'll talk about it when it comes out. I was just like, yes, man. I just loved this gimmick that she does. She does it so well. I'm really excited that she is All Elite. She's going to wreak havoc in the women's division. And I can't wait. What do you think?
Yeah, I felt the same way. I knew she wasn't signed. But it's surprising it took this long because she has that reaction. I thought you know, she's the same, like there's other gimmicks like this, but she does it so uniquely. And along with the announcers, you know, playing it up, it works. So it's going to be interesting to see this one.
It's she's Mankind, she's Kane, she's Bray Wyatt, all in one. Like,
and a little bit of Marilyn Manson.
And a little bit of Marilyn Manson, yeah. Maybe a little bit of Charles Manson. We don't know. I like it. I'm excited to see what she's going to do week to week in the women's division. I think this is going to be a future champion.
Oh, okay. Wow. Bonus points.
All right. You know what? We probably should have did a scoop of vanilla. I'll just switch it over here.
Hey, it's impromptu, man.
It's impromptu. I just remembered that Backlash was on Sunday. I don't even know what.
Are they still doing wrestling over on that vanilla brand?
They try to do wrestling.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it is what it is. But anyways, Backlash pay-per-view. I don't know what matches were on it. The only match that I do know was the greatest wrestling match ever with Randy Orton and Edge. I don't know if it was or not. I'm
glad you did this because I didn't know what you meant.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like the Young Bucks and
and
Kenny and Adam.
Yeah. the kind of the news that I heard coming out of it is before the week before was NXT in your house, and Randy Orton took to social media and really kind of buried everybody in NXT. You know, he was very much kind of the main emphasis of his troll, if you will, is that he didn't like all the leg slaps. He's one of those guys, you know, leg slap this and leg slap that, and I don't have imprints of my hand on my thigh. Well, Randy Orton finally brings back the punt on Edge in the greatest wrestling match ever, and he leg slapped hard. So everybody is throwing him under the bus, and that's really all I know. But I wanted we when we talked and watched Vanilla, you know, for the 6 years that I lived in Winnipeg, and Randy has teased the punt many times, and I was just like, oh, just bring it back, and he finally does. Like, what do you think of Randy Orton finally bringing the punt back?
I wonder if we're only going to see it on pay-per-views. Just being, you know, PG era.
Well, that was the whole thing. That's why it was banned, right? They did a whole storyline where Randy Orton lost a match and he wasn't allowed to use the punt anymore. And the whole thing is much like the curb stomp, is that it's a very easily replicated move by little kids at home, right? So that was kind of the whole reason why it got taken out. But I mean, yeah, you bring it back in kind of a grudge match, if you will. You know, with Orton and Edge, I guess it makes sense. But I was excited to hear that he brought it back. Still not going to make me want to watch that match, though. Not after WrestleMania. I can't forgive that.
Yeah. A bit hypocritical by Randy there, eh?
For sure. And
sorry, are you done?
No, I was just gonna say that, you know, he was kind of attacking Tommaso Ciampa. And, you know, Ciampa was the first one to point it out. He was the first one to point it out. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah. And it's the business. Like,
yeah,
who doesn't do it now? But,
you know,
I don't know. Maybe it's a weak attempt to get some heat.
Maybe. The first person, I mean, besides the Dingleberry Corvette, the first person that I really remember bringing this up and saying that he'll never do it was Velveteen Dream. And I mean, his super kicks, they're just missing something. When he does a super kick, it's just missing something. And it's that leg slap. Like, call it what you want to call it. It makes the move more impactful.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm remembering something from last week, but I think it's gone.
Okay. While we're on the vanilla here,
sure.
Last week, Paul Heyman,
right, yeah,
gets removed as creative director.
Yeah.
Was he released altogether, or just
no, just relieved of his creative control over Raw, I guess.
What do you think about that?
I mean, much like Bischoff was supposed to be the creative director of SmackDown, and he didn't even get a chance to even do anything. He was like fired immediately. I feel like Heyman hadn't got a chance to get going. Heyman's a very long-term storyteller, and I can't even think the whole Drew McIntyre Lesnar thing was all his idea, and that was really good leading into WrestleMania all the way back from Royal Rumble. I was enjoying that storyline. That was all Heyman. You know, I just feel like he wasn't even given a chance.
Yeah.
So I wasn't happy when I heard that news.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, and I can't wait until Paul does Talk as Jericho and we hear, you know, about how all that went down.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't think he was fully released, so I don't know if he'll get to do a Talk is Jericho, but he does a lot of shooting.
Well, not right
interviews.
away.
Yeah.
Not right away, but
Yeah, it'll be
he
interesting.
won't be with he won't be with WWE his whole life.
Right. All right, so let's move along with the show and let's get right into this week's power rankings.
All right, this week's power rankings, we don't have a ton of changes to talk about. We'll run through it. In the men's division, we still have our two champions, Jon Moxley and Cody. MJF still our number one contender, followed by Lance Archer, Brody Lee, Kenny Omega, and Chris Jericho. So no changes from last week. In the women's division, Hikaru Shida is still our champion. Nyla Rose still the number one contender, followed by K-Stat, Miss Penelope Ford, Britt Baker. What?
I was this close on my prediction. I said she would be number 2 this week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Penelope Ford's up to number 3. Britt Baker down from 3 to 4. And Yuka Sakazaki, we're not even sure if she's...
We're back to this. Is she still a wrestler? Is she...
I think I follow her on Twitter. She hasn't tweeted. I think someone send flowers, do something. I think something's terribly wrong.
Hopefully
she might not be okay.
She's my girl. I like Yuka.
Yeah, we need to get her back.
For sure.
In the tag team division, we still have our champs, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, Best Friends, number one contenders, followed by Natural Nightmares, Private Party, the Dark Order back in the top 5 at number 4, and then the Young Bucks fall rounding out the top 5. So SCU, who was in last week, is out again.
It's amazing how Dark Order comes back with a couple of dark wins and they're right back in the mix. So it's good to see.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So that was this week's power rankings. Let's get right into AEW Dynamite. This was Wednesday, June 17th, 2020. Again, live from Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. This show started right off with a bang with a AEW Tag Team Championship match. You know, the belts are on the line here. Natural Nightmares, as you mentioned, were the number 2 contenders. Best Friends were in their own match that we'll get to later in the main event against La Sex Gods. But yeah, this is, highly implicated match. Like, there's lots of implications that could come out of this match. Right. Basically, the tag team championship match at Fyter Fest is on the line here. Who will represent the tag team champions is going to be decided in this match. So we got Hangman, Adam Page, Kenny Omega, still no tag name against the Natural Nightmares, with Brandy Rhodes and Allie at ringside. What'd you think of this match?
I thought this match was really good. Mm-hmm. I liked how the show started with Britt out on the outside, and she was kind of not involved in the match, but involved with the match because they were cutting to her.
Yeah, she was doing the note thing. She was sending notes up to Tony Schiavone, and it was always something condescending or something like that. I think Tony has to interrupt the broadcast to say that she didn't like his green tie.
Yeah.
Just classic heat. I enjoyed it.
I thought it was interesting that Allie didn't come out with the boys, and then she ended up coming out later.
Yeah, that's right.
And there was still a bit of that feud between Brandy and whatnot. But yeah, I thought it was a solid match. Which you would expect because all these guys are good.
Dynamite.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The only sort of, I'm not even going to say it's a sore spot. Just at one point, Dustin was running into the corner at Kenny, and Kenny was doing kind of a back roll over top of him, and they collided heads.
Ooh.
I want to say that was not meant to happen, but Dustin, being the professional, sold it pretty hard, and at one point even stopped the match. What'd you think about that part?
You know what? To be honest, I didn't even catch it.
Okay.
I must have been looking away when that happened, and yeah, I totally missed that. That's news to me. But yeah, I just by the sounds of it, definitely not planned. When have you ever seen just a straight head, collide? Not even a head butt.
Yeah, like
So,
he kept going back to it, so there was like the initial sort of sell, and then he kind of kept going back to it, and then he kind of, I don't know if he said something to Paul Turner, but he just put a knee down in the corner and stood there. And then when he stood up, like Kenny shook his hand, and then Kenny tagged in at him. Like it was really weird. I don't know.
oh,
I could be putting something into it. You might have to watch that part again. And
I'll have to go back and watch that. But
yeah,
that sounds, I don't know. That sounds botchy, but
well, if you didn't notice it, then you may not have noticed it. I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, I'll have to go
I
back
think
and
the
see.
commentators actually mention it, that they collided heads.
Okay. Okay, I'll have to check that out. I forget what I was going to talk about now, though. So,
We got to see the last call. That was
Yeah.
the finish to the match.
yeah, again,
Really liking this finisher.
keeping it strong, finishing the
And
matches.
you think we're done with this teasing that they're going to split up? I didn't really see any of that in this match.
I think they're redrawing the curtains, if you will. They're going to try to get that out of our heads for a while so that when it happens, it's a surprise. Because, I mean, we were anticipating it for many, many months, actually. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're just kind of pulling the curtain back over our eyes, whatever the proverb is or the saying is, so that when it does happen, it's a surprise to us. I think that's all that's happening. Because ever since the Stadium Stampede, they've been clicking and they've been working really well together. And yeah, we haven't really seen signs of that tension anymore. So
Right.
yeah, definitely good. I like one thing I wanted to mention is I like this. It was a segment that was kind of lost in the Dynamite a few weeks ago. I think it was well over a month ago now. I don't even think we talked about it on the show here, but they did a little segment. QT Marshall goes and visits DDP, and DDP gifts him the diamond cutter, and QT's been using it in all his dark matches, and we saw it here again. He's just about done it every way DDP ever did it in the span of a couple weeks. The counter, the out of nowhere, just the straight setup. Like he's really taking a shine to using the diamond cutter, and I think he does it well. And everybody in AEW, being the great sellers that they are, and the athletes, they're making it look really good. And I just wanted to point that out, that I like the diamond cutter on QT. It makes sense to me for whatever reason. I don't know, but I like it.
Cool.
All right. Yeah, let's just move on to the next matchup of the night. Probably the highlight of the night for me. We had Anna Jay returning to action. We've seen her in a couple of dark matches during the quarantine, but mostly she's just been part of that crowd interaction. She's been ringside cheering on the faces. She's usually on the face side. So I was excited to see her back in action, back on Dynamite in action. She's one of my favorite up and coming stars. She's very, very green in the business, but light years ahead of her. I don't know what you want to call it, but her experience, her talent is way ahead of her experience. She's great, and going up against we talked about it in Breaking Kayfabe, the newly signed Abadon, and like I said, I got really excited when I saw that it was her coming out, and I'm like, right away, I was like, oh shit, Anna's in trouble. But I think, I mean, we'll talk about it in a second here. It all makes sense in the end. But while the match was going on, I was like, man, they are just burying this up and coming star. She is not getting any offense in. Abadon is just absolutely walking all over her, imposing her will. It was essentially a squash match. It was a 5-minute squash match. But then the ending happens and it all makes sense. And this was my favorite. This is my favorite moment in AEW so far in 2020.
Wow.
That's
huge.
The way it was set up, the way it surprised me, the way it was executed. I loved this moment. And I can't wait for what's next.
Yeah.
So tell us what happened.
Well, I want to say, Anna Jay, obviously, since we first saw her,
Yes.
my favorite for obvious reasons.
Obvious.
But I remember on Wednesday, I wasn't able to watch live. And I got a text from you.
Yeah.
About 30 minutes into the show. And you're just like, I think you just said, I love it.
I love it. I love it.
And I'm like, dude, stop. I'm not watching it.
Yeah. And I said, okay, you'll know when you see it.
Right. And then, so I'm watching it and I'm like, it's giving me anxiety because I'm supposed to know when this part is.
Right.
But when it happens, I texted you immediately.
Yeah.
And I was right, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said it.
So, and what's funny about this is I almost did this prematurely. So after the match, Dark Order comes out. And I think it was Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. They go over to
Colt.
I think they're coming out to talk to Anna Jay, and I'm getting excited. I'm starting the text.
Oh, okay.
And then they go over to Colt Cabana, who's in the stands. And then I'm starting to delete the text because I'm like, it's just Colt Cabana, nothing big there. That can't be why he popped so hard.
Yeah.
So they give him this, look like a folder with some papers in it. Like
looks
it's
like a contract. Yeah, exactly.
And I think the announcers were doing that, and Colt has this sort of confused look on his face. So I like that part because it's like, well, there's paperwork as if he's, signing up, but then he looks confused about it. So what's the real part about that? But the part that you and I both popped on is that they go and they help Anna Jay out of the ring, and she didn't seem to be fazed by this at all.
No.
And walked out of the stage. They didn't show her going into the heel side, but I'm assuming
they did. Yeah, they did.
Did they?
Yeah,
I missed that part. I guess I was texting because I was like, I love this.
Doing laps around the living room. Yeah.
Yeah, they need a female person in the Dark Order for sure.
So
so tell me.
What I loved about this is, like I mentioned, how it was executed. Dark Order comes out and like the music hits and it's Stu Grayson and Evil Uno, as you mentioned. The camera immediately goes to Colt, and he's just like looking around like, oh shit, are they here for me? Sure enough, they go down, they present him with the folder, and then Brody Lee comes out, and again, it keeps cutting to Colt. Like, we don't know what's going on in the ring. Anna Jay just got her ass kicked. You know what I mean? And Brody goes straight to Colt. When we finally see Anna again, it's 10 and I'm assuming 5. I'm having trouble remembering who the two were, but I vaguely remember.
Like the guys in the cloaks, you mean?
Yeah, like it was 10.
Yeah.
He still had his arm wrapped up because he's selling the arm. And then I believe I saw Alan Angel's tattoos because he has those tattoos on his chest. So I think they were the two that help her up. And she puts her arm over the one and they escort her out. And then, Excalibur puts it over. They're like, oh wow, they're helping her out. Like, what does this mean? What does this mean? And just everything was executed perfectly. They hold the ropes open for her, and then they come up to the ring and they make the left down the heel tunnel, and it's just like, yes, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfectly
and
done.
Brody didn't say anything.
Nope.
Which was good, I think, because I think that could have been ruined with too much talking. Didn't need talking.
It didn't need it. Excalibur. I can't remember if it was Excalibur or if it was Tony 2 just kind of questioning everything. And then Excalibur kind of just saying what we're all thinking. Like, it was just executed perfectly. Like I said, my favorite moment of 2020 so far. It was great. It was perfectly done. I can't say anything else. So I can't wait for Anna Jay to come out all dark and, brainwashed essentially, like, because that's what it is, right? That's what the Dark Order is. It's just one of those brainwashing cults, right? So
this is huge for her career. Just like all of these guys, not just because she's female and because she's new to the business, but like 10, Alan Angels, like, to be in this faction, I think is going to be huge for their careers. So, Dark. I'm hoping that she's in it.
Dark,
and she should borrow that bunny outfit from Ali.
Definitely.
Just saying.
Dark Order is kind of the only true faction in AEW right now. We have the Elite, we have the Inner Circle, but they're kind of, they're just all like buddies almost. But Dark Order is a true, faction. NWO, DX. Well, DX was kind of Inner Circle-ish, but you know what I'm saying? Like, and now they're growing. This is a group that's going to be on TV every week in some way, shape, or form. This is an opportunity for a really young star in Anna Jay to be on TV every week. She might not do anything, but her face is going to be on the camera because she is very, very beautiful. And, the camera's going to be on her. And if she embraces this character and it comes off properly and she can execute it, she's gonna be huge. She's gonna be huge. I'm really excited to see what's next.
The only kind of bad thing is that I was really wondering how she was going to execute this star of the show. Because I thought it was a neat way kind of moniker to have, and
we saw
what could be done with that.
And we saw that little promo package before the match started.
Right.
Where she explains why she calls herself. But I think this ends it. I think that
it would have to.
Yeah, I think it goes out the window.
Yeah. Exciting stuff. I like it.
Yeah, me too. All right. Let's move on with the show.
Abadon won that match, by the way. If it wasn't obvious.
Yeah, it wasn't obvious. I mean, okay, so let's talk about Abadon, because I mean, before we move on, because I kind of gassed her up in the Breaking Kayfabe section.
Did she look different to you?
Well, she had a different color scheme, I guess, if you will. Maybe her makeup was done a little bit differently. She didn't do the bleeding eyes. Like she had.
I thought she was a tinier girl.
No, she's a thicker girl.
She went up against.
What's that? Sorry.
Maybe it's just who she fought I think she fought Nyla Rose the first time. Is that correct?
I don't know. It was a dark match, so I don't think it was
Yeah.
anybody. I don't think it was anybody important. No offense. I can't remember. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
This was.
I just didn't think she was that big. Like she's a bigger girl.
She's THICC. She's thick. But there's a moment. Why he's
Nothing. Just a creative way to say it. Yeah.
There's a moment after the match. She just wins and she kind of she's doing her character thing and she's looking at the camera and she's got the two different eye contact lenses and her eyes look all freaky and she just plays into this character really well. And like I said earlier in the show, like I'm really excited on where she goes in all this. It's almost a double swerve in a way, because she's exiting the ring. She's still up on the ramp when Dark Order's music hits. And there's almost that moment like, yeah, they're coming to recruit her, in a way, because she would fit in with them. She's very dark and stuff.
Right.
But Dark Order doesn't really go after the winners. They go after the losers and make them winners, right? So, but just a little tease of a double swerve there. But, yeah. Abadon looked great. The whole Dark Order situation makes Anna look great. Colt Cabana.
What number is she going to be?
Well, this is it. Is she number 6? Is she the dark horse that I called? We'll see.
Bonus points. Okay.
Bonus points. All right. Let's move on to the show. Next up, we had MJF versus Billy Gunn. This is kind of a payoff to what we saw last week when MJF interrupted Billy Gunn's interview, insulted his sons and stuff like that. So we're gonna get some payback. This was just a really quintessential wrestling match. You know what I mean? Like,
I do know what you mean. Yep.
It was, the heel in MJF, being scared of the bigger opponent in Billy Gunn getting, the better of him until the knee gets tweaked, and now the babyface has to sell this injury for the whole match, starts to make the comeback, and then there's the ring spot, as always, with MJF. Really well done. It fit in to the show well. But yeah, there's really not a lot to talk about with the match itself. Like I said, it was just a wrestling match. I don't think it progresses or takes away from anybody's story. It just fit in with the show nicely, and that was it. What were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I thought the same thing. It was very Flair-like to me.
Right.
MJF just, it's he has that perfected, that heel thing, and the only comment that I really had and was really interested to hear your thoughts on was at one point MJF has a submission move, kind of a reverse sort of figure 4 kind of leg lock, working on that knee, and then goes and grabs the ropes for leverage, essentially cheating, gets caught by Aubrey, and Aubrey goes and kicks the ropes off of MJF. So I was just wondering your thoughts on, was this necessary? Is it bad trying to get Aubrey over? And keep in mind, at this point, we only see Aubrey once a Dynamite now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now that everybody else is working again. So, here's my opinion. When I watched this live, and when I saw it, I immediately went, man, that's something Bryce Remsburg would have did. and it would piss me off. But then as the night rolled on, and I'm sure we'll talk about this segment, with the whole Britt Baker conspiracy thing, the more I thought about it, maybe this is just a subtle little moment that will feed Britt's character in a way. So now Aubrey's getting involved in matches in ways she shouldn't be is just evidence towards Britt's case against Aubrey. Because she was putting the notes up, and she, like, right at the start of the match, and Tony Schiavone is like, why is Aubrey even still working? She's a conspirator, and they implemented the connection at the beginning of the match. So, yeah, like when I first saw it, I was like, that's dumb. She should just do the 5 count like any other ref would have did. But the fact that she kicks the ropes and, gets in the face of MJF, I think that is for Britt's sake. That's my thoughts.
So maybe they do a video package or something where she's showing evidence.
Yeah, they'll bring it up again.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I don't know how much you're on the AEW Unrestricted podcast. If you guys don't check it out, you should. It's a really good podcast. I've listened to every single episode or watched it on YouTube. One of the things Aubrey mentions in there, she actually does more than reffing. So she does the podcast now, and she's also leader of certain projects within the company.
She does like some creative design stuff or something, right? Like all the graphics. Does she have something to do with the graphics and stuff? Because of her gaming career?
I possibly. I can't remember. I just know that she had mentioned one time that they've asked her to like lead some projects, and she agreed to do that because she had done that in the past. And I think Tony said something about the AEW video game. She goes, yeah, I'll just be inserting myself on that project, whether I'm asked or not. So I wonder if there is a possibility. I know she's like really dedicated to working out and whatnot now. Do you think there might be a transition to her being a wrestler in some capacity?
I do think that there is a possibility. During her Talk is Jericho interview, she mentions how her husband is a wrestler, and he was doing the independents up in Seattle in the Washington, Oregon area, and she wanted to get involved. She had nothing to do over the weekends and stuff like that. She figured she would do the reffing thing. I can't remember how it all went out, but as a ref, you still need to learn, because everybody kind of worked out together in the group that she was in. So she learned to bump and run ropes and stuff. She mentions, but the way her reffing career kind of took off, like she's only been reffing she's going to be coming up on her 3rd year, I think, sometime around now. I think it was WrestleMania weekend is when she first worked. So she might be going into her 4th year now. But the way her reffing career took off, the wrestling kind of took a back seat. So, yeah, I definitely think there's a possibility she could get involved physically if it's a forced match with Britt. I feel like we've talked about this before, but yeah, it could be coming. I don't know if
I don't know that. Maybe I don't think we talked about it on the podcast.
Oh, okay. But. Yeah, I don't know if I like it. I like that she is getting involved in a story that's out of her control. It's Britt bringing her into this whole mess.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll have to see in how they execute it. It's all about how it's executed. On paper, it doesn't sound very appealing to me, but if they pull it off, I'll give it props but I will tear it apart if it doesn't. So,
Yeah.
but it'll be interesting to see. But yeah.
Yeah, cool. After the match, we get a brawl between MJF and Wardlow in Jurassic Express. Looks like this rivalry tension between these guys is going to continue. I don't know if they have something lined up for Fyter Fest.
I want to say Jungle Boy MJF is happening. Because Jungle Boy got the TNT Championship title match before MJF, even though he's number one contender. So that's a kind of a sore spot with him.
Right.
So
cool.
But yeah, we'll see how that all plays out. It was a good pull apart. The only kind of weird spot was Joey Janela didn't seem like he knew what he should do. There's one moment where he just turns around and he's not holding on to anybody. He just looks at the camera really awkwardly.
That wasn't, he didn't expect a cameraman behind him.
Yeah, I don't think he did. And he was just like, should always just bump at that moment. Just bump.
Yeah.
When in doubt, bump. All right, moving on with the show, we get a backstage interview with Alex Marvez and Le Sex Gods. I'm loving this combination of Jericho and Marvez. It's reminded me of Jericho and Owens working with Nathan, Bill, Jimmy Johnson, whatever that commentator's jabroni's name was. So it's kind of given me that feel, maybe not executed as well because Jericho and Owens very good at what they do. Sammy's getting there, but Alex Marvez is far from where Phillips was. So I mean, it has the potential. It's working. It's making me laugh. But, I mean, it could be better if I'm being brutally honest. So, but I like it.
Yeah, he's almost too straight, Marvez. Like, he doesn't say anything.
He doesn't lean into it, where Phillips would always be like, my name's Tom. What? Yeah. Since when? Like, and then it gives Jericho something to do. But Marvez is kind of more the Kevin Kelly type backstage interviewer where he just takes it and doesn't say anything. So, I mean, they both work in their different ways, but I think Jericho needs something to play off of a little bit more.
Yeah.
We get the announcement coming off of this interview that Fyter Fest is going to be Jericho versus Orange Cassidy. What are your initial thoughts thinking about this matchup at Fyter Fest?
Well, I think we'll talk about it in a little bit. It's an interesting match because these two guys are so talented in what they do, and Orange Cassidy being the comedic wrestler, and Jericho definitely being able to do his comedy stuff. That is one angle in a way that this could go, or it will have that in it.
It'll have probably that for sure. Element. Yeah.
But as far as like story and where it goes from here, like I couldn't predict the winner.
It could go either way. It really could.
Yeah.
It's almost the opposite of the Orange Cassidy Pac match, where it was just like so cut and clear that Pac was going to win that match. But then when you actually got to the match, there was moments where you're like, man, they might give this to Orange Cassidy, which they didn't. And we were like, hey, yeah, what the hell was I thinking? But the way they performed the match, it makes you think that way. This is almost the opposite where, they could go either way. Jericho being in the position that he's in can very well not so much pass the torch, but get the kid over. much like the Undertaker used to make a lot of people famous when it wasn't WrestleMania. He put a lot of Stone Colds and The Rocks over when, you know, he maybe not necessarily needed to. So yeah, going into that match, it could go either way, but it's probably just going to be Jericho, and it's going to be clear cut. But that's for another conversation later on.
Yeah. It's the same argument, right? Is like Jericho doesn't need to go over, but Orange Cassidy's doesn't need it either. Like
No.
he's so over right now as well. So
Losses aren't hurting him at all.
Yeah, no, not at all.
All right, we get another announcement after this segment. We get officially my bonus points are put in the bank. Hikaru Shida versus Penelope Ford at Fyter Fest. What do you think of this matchup, really quick?
I probably didn't have a chance to win anyways, so bonus points. Oh, that's not what you were talking about. You're talking about the Shida Ford match. I think this is gonna be a good match, and an interesting match because Shida's kind of she's a hard hitter, right? And
Very
she's
much
not
that
really a
strong
flyer. Yeah, and then you have Penelope Ford with her gymnastics background. I think this is gonna be a really good match, and I'm really interested to see what they come up with on this one.
In all those fatal four ways and heels versus faces tag matches that we've seen in the past 3-4 months, it's always Shida and Penelope Ford that are working well together. You know, we've kind of thrown K-Stat under the bus. We kind of thrown Nyla Rose under the bus in these matches. But it was always Shida and Ford that really carried them and made them, really good matches. Maybe not great matches, but at least good matches. So I'm really excited to see this AEW Women's Championship match coming up at Fyter Fest. Penelope Ford versus champion Hikaru Shida. Exciting stuff. And then as we leave this segment, it's Britt with an interview with Tony. She's mad that, basically that Penelope's getting this shot and that she wasn't even in the conversation, but her leg's broken. And, I don't know if the execution was just confusing because of what she kind of contradicts herself in a way, but it still comes off really well. And I'm always excited when she does these scripted parts, as we'll say. She's had time to practice it and whatnot. It comes off really good, adds to her character. Loving Britt Baker in this moment, but the real kind of story,
they're not friends anymore after this.
Britt calls them off as they're on a timeout, friends timeout, for giving her the bad news. But the main part of the segment is that she's so mad she wants to drive off in a hurry. She's yelling at Reba to drive her away, but Reba's not there. It's Big Swole. And Big Swole drives off with her. And, yet to be... we'll get to what happens to Britt a little later in the show. But yeah,
didn't see that coming.
Yeah. Maybe not, yeah. All right, so let's move on to the next matchup of the night. This was the TNT Championship Open Challenge. Cody comes out, cuts a little promo, basically handing the mic over to Arn. Arn cuts a horrible promo and basically just I don't know. These promos are almost pointless. And like I've mentioned before, this Open Challenge should be all about the illusion and the surprise of who's coming out. But I don't know. These two promos just seemed out of place and unnecessary. Cody talking about, am I even in the Elite anymore? Is the Nightmare Family even a family anymore? Like, I don't know. I think you're just burying yourself in a way. I didn't like it. And then Arn just, I don't know, missed the mark. But anyways, we get the announcement. It was being pumped up all show that this Open Challenge was going to be the first time a non AEW wrestler was going to challenge for the TNT Championship match, or for the title. I'm sorry, and we get this promo package. This guy's introducing himself. The promo package didn't really do it for me. I would have just liked. I would have just liked the surprise of a wrestler coming out that we've never seen before. The fact that this promo package, and he talks about how he's the hottest free agent in wrestling today. He's a former NWA TV champion. All that made me realize is that I don't know who the fuck this kid is.
Yeah.
Where if he would have just come out and, the commentators would have been just like, oh, here's Ricky Starks, sorry. And da-da-da-da-da. Like, it would have just made more sense. Like, oh, who's this guy? Now I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
I'm interested. Yeah. But now he put this freaking bar on his talent that in this match, I'm sorry, but you did not meet. I was not into this match, and I really believe it was because of this promo package. What are your thoughts on Ricky Starks?
Well, I agree with you. I think they should have did like they did with Brian Cage. And even though you had predicted it, and I'm sure a lot of people had predicted that Brian Cage was going to be the mystery entrant in that match,
right?
They could have done it like that instead of having the promo package. Yeah, like I think I mentioned it earlier. Like, he in his video package said, "I am the hottest free agent." Can you consider yourself the hottest free agent when no one knows who you are?
Right. That's what I mean.
So, I don't know. I was just disappointed it wasn't Kevin Owens. But, yeah, I was unimpressed by the match. And usually Cody can make any match, like, really good. And maybe I'll have to watch it again. Maybe you're right. Maybe it just put a sour taste from the beginning, so we didn't really give it a chance. But I think the other thing for me is he too much reminds me of what's his name from the Vanilla,
Ricochet?
The other Ricky.
Ricochet?
Yeah, like I don't know if he's trying to be like that, or he just has that natural body type like that. I was just getting that vibe.
Yeah, he's kind of Ricochet light. Like, yeah, he's trying to be that high flyer, very athletic, but he's just not talented enough to do it. Like, I don't know. Like I said, the promo package completely made me tune out of this match. And yeah, maybe I need to go back and give it another chance. But I mean, I just didn't see anything that really impressed me. And like you said, Cody's usually really good at making these, mediocre matches good. But to me, this was just a mediocre match. It's one of the rare times I'll ever say a Cody match wasn't good. But yeah, I really think that the problems with this is the execution. As I said, with the Dark Order recruiting Anna Jay, the execution was great. The execution of introducing a new talent was not good. They missed the mark. And then the match was lackluster because of their choices that they made. And the fact that now he signed right away, there was no there was no question. It was just, here's the answer.
Yeah.
I just didn't like how it was handled. You built up this, any wrestler in the world can challenge for this title, and then no, he's an AEW wrestler, essentially. He probably was before the match even started. So I don't know. It just ruined it for me. Everything about this segment was ruined. So.
Well, Cody, we know you watch, so just fix it.
Just fix it. Come
on, bro.
You creative people, you can fix it, and hopefully Starks can work his way out of my bad side, because I'm not impressed.
Yeah.
Anyways,
he didn't come out with a cape.
So. Yeah. Moving on to the next matchup of the night, we had Young Bucks versus the Supabad Death Squad. This was, I mean, as much as I had tuned out of this one, this brought me right back into the show. And you can't go wrong with the Young Bucks. Very exciting stuff. Kind of contrasting styles going up against Sabian and Havoc, though. What were your thoughts on this matchup?
I think this is one of my favorite Dynamite matches. It had everything. Everybody executed. It told a story. We had some outside, people involved. Rick Knox, I thought did just everything was firing. I thought Nick Jackson was the highlight wrestler of this match. I think he always has this one run where it's he does a few moves in a row. At one point, I think he was doing 10, and he was everywhere and doing everything. So, I thought this was a really cool match.
Yeah, really great match. My only critique of the match was the involvement with Butcher and the Blade. I get why it was there. I think it needed to be there. But the fact that they jumped the rails when they did was odd. Because they jumped the rails, and then there was a commercial break, and now they're just standing outside of the ring. Now, eventually, FTR comes out drinking apple juice or something. What the hell were they drinking or eating or something? Cash came out eating
coffee.
Something.
I thought it was coffee.
Is it coffee?
It looked like a coffee cup.
Okay, but I don't know. It just seemed weird. So they come out and they kind of put themselves in the Young Bucks corner in a way, and now you just have these 4 extra wrestlers outside of the ring. To me, that doesn't make sense. It just looked weird. I think it would have been better if the match just continues. They have their interaction at the guardrail. Maybe there's a swing and a miss and whatever. But then Butcher and the Blade come in and they get involved, and then FTR run out for the save in a way. To me, that plays better. Yeah. But I guess they were just trying something different. To me, it was the only kind of weird spot for me. Not saying it was bad, but it was weird to me.
No, I hear what you're saying. If we're saying anything weird, it's what Butcher and the Blade look like now. That, I can't get over. Now, the Blade's dyed hairdo I can deal with, but the Butcher wearing a white toque and white outfit, come on. I don't get it. I think it's bad. Not that they should come out in all their leathers but come out in jeans and a black shirt. Look tough. Right. Not
I wonder if they're just
Mr. Clean or something.
Yeah. I don't know if they're just trying to channel, because they have the suspenders. That's kind of the other thing. And the suspenders kind of remind me of Clockwork Orange. Where they're all dressed up in white. And they got suspenders on, and they're kind of like the hoodlums kind of thing. I don't know if that's the look they're going for, but I agree with you that it's coming off weird. I get that you're sitting ringside and you're there to watch the show, per se, and that you're not going to be sitting there in your gear, but
make it look like it's something you actually wear outside.
Yeah,
FTR, that's
Yeah, he's wearing a leather
I
jacket.
can see them. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see them wearing that.
Yeah, I get it. So yeah, this match goes in favor of the Young Bucks, of course. We get basically the big pull apart. Next week, are we going to see the 8-man tag, the 16-man tag? How would you even say that? It's going to be 2 tag teams versus 2 tag teams. Yeah, 8-man tag.
I don't know. Is next week Fyter Fest? What are we? 19th,
we still got
26th.
Yeah, we still
2
got
weeks.
We still got one more show before Fyter Fest.
It's possible. I say, if I was writing the show, we don't waste this match on Dynamite. So I think an FTR, maybe they fight like Supabad Squad or somebody else, and those other guys get involved somehow, but they're not fighting one another.
So you think... So let me clarify. I think next week it'll be the Young Bucks and FTR versus Butcher and Blade and Superbad Squad. 8-man tag.
Yeah, no, I think it's
that's
too
a fighter
soon for all those guys to be involved.
Oh, okay.
So maybe like, because I think I don't know how to put this, but the lower group, or the group that kind of doesn't match here, is the Superbad Squad.
Right.
So maybe FTR fights them at the very least, but I don't think it'll be B&B or Young Bucks. Those 3 groups won't fight one another in a match. Maybe they'll be involved in the match.
Okay.
But that's just how I would write it.
Okay.
50 bonus points. Okay.
Oh, what?
Moving on. Well,
He's learning the game.
On, man.
He's learning the game.
You made so many predictions.
You call.
I think that's why I lose. It's quantity over quality.
I just like how you just took the liberties. It's like, I'm calling my own points. 50. I'm back in the game. All right. Let's move on to the next. Let's move on to the next segment of the night. We had a video package with Taz and Brian Cage. This was a really well done promo. Taz is really starting to get back in the swing of things, embracing his managerial role with Brian Cage. I wasn't a fan of Brian Cage talking, but it still worked. But I didn't like it.
It wasn't the worst. It wasn't the worst.
Yeah, it
promo.
definitely wasn't the worst, but I mean, I think he just yelled too much. Being a big guy like that, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
the days of "let me tell you something, brother,"
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That's
But
kind of
over.
over.
He watches the show, right? And you had said that he kind of had a weak voice, so maybe he's just
right
overcompensating.
Right, that's true. But yeah,
Good try, Brian.
Yeah, just tone it down. Just bring it down a couple notches. Good effort, though. It was a well done promo. If he had written that himself, which it seems like a lot of the talent do, it got the point across, and it was well done. Just the execution was a little off. While this was all going on, I'm waiting for Moxley's retaliation, but we never really got it.
Oh, because they're outside and
I was just waiting for last week's situation to be reversed, but Moxley, biding his time, I guess.
Yeah, we go to commercial, and then we come back,
and
we got a
completely different.
We got a Moxley promo.
Yeah, so which I mean always hits the mark. Moxley's promo. He aced Dusty's promo class in NXT, that's for sure.
Yeah, I really like his comment about, if you think that you have me figured out, like I got demons, I like that.
Right.
And expect that to be a shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees. I got demons.
I got demons.
Yeah, with John Moxley's symbol on there.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, so just building it up. I thought it was good.
Yeah, this match is going to be epic at Fyter Fest. Can't wait for it. We go into another scene. We get kind of the conclusion of Big Swole driving off with Britt Baker. Reba's running through the parking lot frantically trying to find Britt. She finds her in a dumpster. You know, hats off to Britt for doing the whole dumpster gimmick. She covered herself in, banana peels were in her hair. She looked dirty, now her makeup's all messed up, and she really executed this word of the day, executed. She really executed this promo where she's just like frantically yelling at Reba, and Reba's doing her best. It's making her nervous. She's like fumbling with her phone, and Britt's like, do this, but do that, but why are you doing this? Well, you just told me to do this, and no, don't do that, and that's just the back and forth. And why isn't Tony here? Well, he's on a timeout.
You're fired.
Yeah, you're fired. Okay, I'm free. Yay! And wait, where are you going? It was good. I liked it. Really.
Yeah. I actually thought that Rebel was even better than Britt.
Who?
Rebel.
Who?
Reba's real name. Rebel. We talked about this last week.
Yeah.
But like her acting ability, her I want to say some of that was off the cuff because it didn't seem like she was expecting it, and then just did so well. Man, they got to sign this girl. She looks like she could throw around somebody, or even if she's just going to be a valet to Britt Baker, I think she's got to stay on the camera. She's really, really good.
Yeah. She's embracing her role in all this, and I think she'll get rewarded for sure. Let's move right on to the main event of the evening. Again, another match that has implications with Fyter Fest. Les Sex Gods, Jericho and Sammy Guevara versus the Best Friends. Best Friends challenging Les Sex Gods for in retaliation to the beatdown of Blood Orange Cassidy, as Jericho put it, the week before. Jericho goes online and says the only way you're getting this match is if you put up the number one contendership for the tag team titles, which Best Friends very quickly agreed to. So, this is to see who's going to challenge Omega and Hangman at Fyter Fest for the tag team championships. This match was really well done. Maybe not quite as impressive as the previous tag team match, the previous two tag team matches, really. But this got the job done. It told a story. The story was very easy to follow because of all the lead up to it. There was really nothing wrong with this match. I really enjoyed it, even though it wasn't quite as spectacular as the other two. What were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I see the Best Friends. They're growing each week. And I remember one of our first podcasts, we kind of ripped on Chucky a bit. Mm. And I think he's been in the gym. He's looking good. He doesn't look like he's lost out there anymore. And he's just on it. And, Trent is just really powerful guy and can do the moves. And yeah, I thought it was a really decent match as well. And then we got rewarded at the end after the match.
Yeah, for
Tell
sure.
us about what we did, what happened there.
So, Best Friends go over. I mean, I kind of knew that they would. Why would they take away their number one contendership? That's something Vanilla Brand would do, right? But
Yeah, and the Sex Gods are they really a tag team?
well, we talked about that a couple weeks ago with the introduction into FTR, and the Sex Gods are really everything that FTR hated about the Vanilla Brand, right? Just two singles wrestlers that are put together, even though they work well together and whatnot. But anyways, I digress. There's a beatdown of the best friends after the match is over. Jericho kind of standing tall in the ring afterwards, and there was the camera guy interference, which led to the win. So after the beatdown of the best friends, Jericho's in the ring. You see that same camera guy kind of put the camera down. He made his way up onto the ramp, put the camera down, took off his hat. You see the blonde hair, takes off the mask. It's revealed that it was Orange Cassidy. And, we see an Orange Cassidy that we haven't seen before. And I'm still on the fence on Excalibur's comment. I'm not sure if I like it or if I didn't like it. I feel like it was gas.
Which one is that?
I feel like it was gassing him up, and I feel like it was burying him at the same time. But he's like, he's trying. Look at this. He's trying, and it's just like, I'm kind of on the fence on how that made me feel. But I said it from the very beginning. When this guy tries, when he does, like, he's gonna be a star. And the fact that he's going to be working with Chris Jericho at Fyter Fest, I think his true talents are going to come out. He found a gimmick that got over in the indies, and he ran with it because that's what made him money. But yeah, maybe it doesn't translate to TV so well. Even though I'm still enjoying everything he does, but maybe we'll see a transfer in his character. Maybe he starting to maybe get rid of the sloth gimmick. But we'll see. I don't think you could get rid of it fully, but I don't know. It's interesting. I'm really excited about this match.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. I don't think he can get rid of it. It's what he is. I think he could shed some of it, and I think he already has. If you look at some of his matches on YouTube, like, he doesn't nearly do as much of the sloth stuff in his matches as he does in those. That could be because of time as well.
Right, for sure.
But yeah, I think he still needs to wear the jacket.
Yeah, for sure.
The glasses. Yeah.
So, like, what you're kind of mentioning is that, from time to time we've seen it, but we're not really seeing, the lazy kicks, the lazy chops. We're not really seeing that as often as you would when you watch his indie stuff. But we're still getting the hands in the pockets. He's still, dodging things. He's doing tope suicidas through the ropes. He's doing his gimmick that way, which I think is what's working. So, yeah, I'm excited. The kid's a star. That's all there is to it. He's figuring it out. Maybe a lot faster than some other guys.
I think we could probably have a whole podcast on if Orange Cassidy was to reinvent himself, like, what it could be.
Right.
And I think about The Rock when I think about that. Okay. When he went from the Nation to was it Corporate Rock?
Right.
Like, that was a huge. Now he's on the side of Vince McMahon. Like, to me, he does these big things to make that change. So I think if we saw Orange Cassidy just now he's somebody different, he's John Cassidy and doesn't have the jacket and the glasses anymore, like it wouldn't come off.
Right.
So, but
interesting.
I don't know. That's a conversation for another day, I think.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, that was a really good show. Lots of good insight there. Again, recapping two big signees, if you will, Abadon and Ricky Starks. I wasn't not too hot on Ricky Starks right now, but I will give him another chance. We'll see what he does. Yeah, we'll give him one of these. We'll see what he does in the future. Really excited about Abadon, though. Really excited about Anna Jay potentially joining the Dark Order. I want to see how they continue this on. I think she'll fit in well with those guys, and I'm freaking excited.
Yeah, I think they gotta drag it out a little bit, like they're doing with Colt. Like, let's tease it some more.
Maybe, and you know what'd be really cool is if she goes to Colt for like advice. I saw you go into the locker room last week. What did they tell you? And he doesn't really want to talk about it. And then they leave it there, and then it goes even further. So now we don't know if we haven't gotten confirmation that she's in the Dark Order yet, but now she's coaxing Colt. She's subtly trying to get him to come over and stuff like that. And then it's revealed that she's been part of it for a while. I'll be interested into knowing if they give her a number. That's kind of where I am. Is she going to be a number? Is she just going to be Anna Jay, Mr. Brody Lee's secretary or assistant or whatever title they want to give her? But
I'm wondering if they're going to write the numbers on her chest. That's what I'm thinking about.
I would be very interested in seeing if that's what they do. Very, very, very interested.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm excited for next Wednesday.
All right. Well, that was a good show. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave us some comments below on what you thought of this week's AEW, the week that was AEW. And we'll definitely converse with you guys. Thanks for watching. Peace out. Go fuck yourself, Jason Corvette.